The Gamelon alpha predator's scaly head exploded in a shower of blue gore, splattering the bioluminescent trees as the human's plasma bolt found its mark, the first of the aliens to fall, but far from the last. Noah Jackson, a 35-year-old human explorer, had crash-landed on planet Zeta 9 3 days prior. He had barely escaped his wrecked ship with his life. Noah's rations and ammo were limited. He had to act fast if he wanted to survive, much less signal for rescue. Bioluminescent foliage rustled as Noah tromped onward into Zeta 9's forests, plasma pistol gripped tight. His eyes flitted around, searching the tree line. Massive, scaly footprints littered the glowing moss, three-toed, fresh. The creatures that made those tracks would dwarf a human. Claw marks scarred the trunks high up, far beyond Noah's reach. Something chittered in the brush, not far. This place was not welcoming to an earthling. Noah's stomach growled. His supplies wouldn't last another day. He'd need to hunt soon or become the hunted himself. The aliens were out there, watching, studying their strange visitor. For eons, the Raptorian Gamelons had reigned unchallenged atop Zeta 9's food chain. No one could match their size, ferocity, or intellect. Led by Pryla, a cunning alpha predator, the Gamelons had never encountered another sentient race. To them, meeting an off-worlder was not an historic occasion. It was merely a chance to taste exotic new prey. In Pryla's cold reptilian eyes, the human was just a fragile, fleshy morsel to be run down and torn apart for sport. But the Gamelons, despite their fearsome appearance and vicious talons, would soon learn a harsh lesson. On Earth, humans were the apex predators. An enemy's size or scales meant nothing to a species that had long ago subjugated entire planets. The Gamelons thought this planet was theirs. Noah would show them how wrong they were, one plasma bolt at a time. He refused to become a snack for some dumb lizards. Noah knew more humans would soon arrive in this sector. If he couldn't secure the planet and light a rescue beacon before then, those poor souls would be flying right into a Gamelon ambush. The lives of every future settler would depend on Noah's ability to turn the tables and fill the forests with reptilian bodies. The twin suns of Zeta 9 dipped beneath the horizon, plunging the bioluminescent forest into an eerie twilight. Noah's eyes darted around, searching for a place to hunker down for the night. A hollowed-out tree trunk, its interior charred by some ancient lightning strike, caught his eye. He crawled inside, finding just enough space to stretch out. Using his plasma pistol on its lowest setting, Noah coaxed a small fire to life, casting flickering shadows on the trunk's walls. The warmth was comforting on the chilly night, but the light made him wary. It could attract unwanted attention. Working quickly, he set up a perimeter around his makeshift camp, stringing tripwires and placing tiny motion sensors scavenged from his ship at key points. It wasn't much, but it would have to do. Noah had barely settled in when a guttural roar echoed through the night, seeming to shake the very trees. His blood ran cold as answering calls rang out from multiple directions, a chilling chorus of predatory cries. The sounds were unlike anything on Earth, but their meaning was unmistakable. The pack was on the prowl. Sleep came in fitful bursts, interrupted by the snap of twigs and rustle of leaves. Each time Noah shot upright, gripping his pistol tight and straining to hear over the sound of his own pulse hammering in his ears. Gamelons circled his refuge like sharks, testing his defenses. A scaly snout poked into the hollow, sniffing before withdrawing with a hiss. Glowing eyes stared from the darkness, unblinking. After what felt like an eternity, the suns crept back into the sky, painting the forest in hues of green and blue. Peering out from his refuge, Noah sucked in a lungful of crisp morning air. The night had been harrowing, but he'd survived. Barely. As he broke camp, a grim realization settled over Noah. He couldn't go on like this, scraping by on luck and adrenaline. The Gamelons would run him down eventually. He needed an edge, a way to slip through their domain unseen. Noah's mind raced as he rummaged through his pack, taking stock of his meager supplies. Scent. The hulking reptiles obviously hunted by smell. Maybe there was a way to mask his own aroma. or even mimic that of some innocuous creature. Noah had been top of his class in chemistry back on Earth. If he could just find the right ingredients. The human set off into the forest with renewed purpose, eyes peeled for anything he could use. Saps, pollens, muds, dung, all were fair game. With a little ingenuity, he'd brew up a cloaking agent that would leave him smelling like just another part of the alien ecosystem. The Gamelons would never even know he was there. Noah refused to be prey any longer. The hunted would soon become the hunter. In the days that followed his harrowing night in the hollowed-out tree, Noah threw himself into the task of finding a way to mask his scent from the Gamelons. He scoured the alien forest, collecting samples of every plant, fungus, and organic material he could find. With his limited scientific equipment, salvaged from the wreckage of his ship, he analyzed each specimen, searching for anything that might help him evade the predator's keen sense of smell. It was a painstaking process, but Noah refused to give up. He knew that his survival depended on his ability to move undetected through the Gamelons' territory. Finally, after countless hours of experimentation, he stumbled upon a type of moss that emitted a strong, pungent odor. The scent was almost overpowering to Noah's human nose, but he had a hunch that it might be just what he needed. Working quickly, Noah combined the moss with a few other carefully selected ingredients, grinding them into a thick, greenish paste. He smeared the concoction over his skin and clothing, grimacing at the slimy texture and acrid smell. But if it worked, it would be worth the discomfort. With his scent effectively masked, Noah felt a new sense of confidence as he ventured deeper into the forest. He moved more boldly now, no longer jumping at every rustle of leaves or snap of a twig. His eyes scanned the surroundings, searching for any signs of advanced technology or civilization that might aid in his escape from Zeta 9. As he pushed further into Gamelon territory, the trees began to thin out, giving way to a large circular clearing. In the center of the clearing stood a towering, monolithic structure, unlike anything Noah had ever seen. The monolith was made of a dark, metallic substance and covered in intricate alien carvings that seemed to writhe and shift in the dappled sunlight. Noah approached the structure cautiously, his heart hammering in his chest. He reached out a trembling hand, his fingertips mere inches from the monolith's surface. Suddenly, the ground beneath his feet began to tremble, and a deep, resonant hum filled the air. Noah stumbled back, watching in awe as a hidden panel slid open in the monolith's base, revealing a dimly lit passageway that led into the depths of the structure. For a long moment, Noah stood frozen, torn between fear and curiosity. He knew that entering the monolith could be a fatal mistake, but the thought of what secrets it might hold was tantalizing. With a deep breath, he stepped forward, crossing the threshold into the unknown. The panel slid shut behind him with an ominous thud, plunging him into darkness. Eerie blue light pulsed through the winding corridor as Noah ventured deeper into the alien monolith. Strange symbols and intricate carvings covered the metallic walls, hinting at the Gamelons' long history on Zeta 9. Noah's heart pounded as he crept onward, plasma pistol at the ready. The corridor opened into a vast central chamber. A massive glowing orb dominated the room, crackling with ancient energy. Streams of data flowed across its surface in mesmerizing patterns. Noah realized this was no mere building. It was a repository of immense power and knowledge, far beyond human understanding. Heavy footsteps and guttural growls suddenly echoed from the entrance behind him. Noah whirled around to see Pryla himself, leading a pack of snarling Gamelons into the chamber, drawn by the structure's activation. The human ducked behind a large alien console just as the predators entered, hearts racing. "Find the intruder," Pryla barked in the Gamelon's rasping tongue. "Tear the flesh from his bones." The hunters fanned out, sniffing the air and scanning the room with cold reptilian eyes. Noah held his breath, knowing he was hopelessly outnumbered. He gripped his pistol tight, preparing for a desperate last stand. As the Gamelons closed in on his position, Noah noticed a strange handheld device attached to the console. Glowing sigils covered its surface, some kind of control mechanism. With nowhere else to turn, Noah grabbed the device and began manipulating its alien controls. Suddenly a bolt of energy surged from the orb, barely missing Noah and slamming into the wall beside a gamelon's head. The creature let out a startled hiss and leaped back. Noah stared at the smoking hole in the wall, then down at the device in his hands. Whatever this thing was, it seemed to be connected to the monolith's power source. As the gamelons regrouped for another approach, Noah frantically worked the controls, trying to decipher their purpose. He was playing with forces far beyond his knowledge, but it was that or die at Pryla's claws. Another crackle of energy burst from the orb as Noah twisted a dial, this time striking a gamelon directly in the chest. The creature crumpled to the floor, glassy eyes staring at nothing. Its packmates snarled in rage and charged forward, murder in their eyes. Noah braced himself, device at the ready. He'd tapped into the monolith's power, but controlling it was another matter entirely. The human could only pray he mastered the alien technology before the gamelons ripped him apart. Sweat poured down Noah's brow as he took aim at the next scaly monstrosity, finger tightening on the trigger. Noah's fingers flew over the alien controls, his heart pounding as the gamelons closed in. The device hummed with power, its strange sigils glowing brighter with each desperate manipulation. Suddenly, the central orb erupted in a blinding flash, pulsing erratically. The chamber filled with a deafening thrum. The gamelons froze mid-stride, their predatory eyes widening as they beheld the core's violent transformation. For a split second, hunter and prey alike stood transfixed by the pulsating light. Noah seized his chance. With a final, decisive twist of the controls, he unleashed hell. A massive wave of energy exploded from the orb, engulfing the chamber in searing light. The gamelons didn't even have time to scream. Their scaly flesh crackled and bubbled, sloughing away in ashen flakes as the blast consumed them. Pryla, the last to fall, let out a guttural roar of agony as his body disintegrated, reduced to nothing more than a cloud of drifting particles. Noah cowered behind the console, the alien metal shielding him from the worst of the inferno. The device sparked and smoked in his grip, its circuitry overloading from the immense power coursing through it. Around him, the monolith shuddered violently, its ancient structure groaning under the strain. Chunks of twisted metal rained down from above, smashing against the chamber floor. The energy core, destabilized by the sudden release, began to pulse faster and faster, spewing bolts of raw power that scorched the walls. Noah knew he had to move, or he'd be buried alive. He sprinted for the exit, ducking and weaving as debris crashed down around him. The corridors heaved and buckled, the once solid metal rippling like water. Explosive discharges chased at Noah's heels, the core's death throes threatening to incinerate him at any moment. With a final desperate lunge, Noah hurled himself through the monolith's entrance, landing hard on the forest floor beyond. A split second later, the entire structure imploded with a deafening roar. A massive shockwave slammed into Noah, launching him through the air like a ragdoll. He crashed through the underbrush, feeling ribs crack and skin tear as he tumbled end over end. When the world finally stopped spinning, Noah found himself sprawled on his back, every inch of his body screaming in pain. Slowly wincing with every movement, he dragged himself to his feet. He turned to survey the devastation. Where the monolith had stood, there was now only a smouldering crater, its edges glowing with residual heat. Ash hung thick in the air, the vaporized remains of Pryla and his pack. In one cataclysmic instant, Noah had wiped out the apex predators of Zeta 9, along with millennia of their history and technology. As the magnitude of his actions sank in, Noah felt a twisting sense of loss and regret. He had done what was necessary to survive, but at what cost? The delicate balance of this alien world would be forever altered by his hand. Battered and bloodied, Noah limped away from the ruins, each step a reminder of the weight he would carry for the rest of his days. The hunt was over. The human was now the apex predator. But as Noah vanished into the forest, he couldn't help but wonder if, in some cruel cosmic irony, he had become the very monster he had sought to destroy. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, Please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.